Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Game of Trades and this is going to be a technical analysis of the natural gas futures. So we have had a pretty successful year with natural gas so far. We've managed to actually trade a few times successfully, such as this rally. This was one of the first trades I made on this channel, where we captured this entire move up, and more recently we managed to capture this nice rally up all the way to the $2.9 level, which was actually my maximum target, my maximum level to reach, and we hit it spot on at $2.9. So that is a very nice, simple technical analysis for you right there. And in my last video, I talked about natural gas having run its course and potentially coming back down to the $2.7 level, which is exactly what happened. If you did manage to trade this move down, congratulations. This was thanks to a nice overbought reading on the RSI. So very simple technical analysis. A nice crossover on the MACD here, indicating potential more downside. And we actually undercut the $2.7 level under. So that actually was a little bit unexpected. We gapped down and came down under it, and now we are currently back testing. So will it break back up above $2.7, or is it gonna break down? I mean, back test and come back down to 2.5 and potentially to 2.3. That's what I'm gonna be discussing in this video. I hope you guys enjoy this. Obviously, this is a high probability trade that I'm going to discuss today, so I may actually take a position on this afterwards, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why in four different steps. So let's begin by taking a look at the weekly divergence here. To me, this weekly divergence, the weekly chart looks pretty good. We did have some the beginning of what looked like MACD divergence on the weekly chart, which can actually have very long-term repercussions, bullish repercussions. You can see that the price was going down here, whilst the MACD was actually staying pretty level, even starting to rise up. So that this can be considered as MACD divergence on the weekly chart, and again, this can actually have some long-term bullish impact on the charts. So this is nothing to ignore, and definitely something to take into account when looking at natural gas for the long term. I am definitely more bullish, leaning to the bullish side for the long term. Obviously, short term, not so much, but long term, definitely. But one thing that I did see on the weekly chart is that we are actually testing the MACD zero line. And if you've been following me for a while, this is one of the things that I like to take a look at when trading with trends. And this is something that I like to do with the MACD. When the MACD is below the zero line, this is the zero line. When it's below, it's trending down. When it's above, it's trending up. And what happens often with the MACD is that it backtests with this level and confirms that it is still in a downtrend or an uptrend. So here, if the MACD starts to backtest the zero level and turn back down, that would continue the downtrend, and obviously that would be a very simple backtest of the MACD, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. This is a good example of a backtest here. You can see it was generally an uptrend here. It came down, the MACD hit the zero line perfectly, and it turned back up. And here you can also see the same thing. It's a little bit less clear, but you can see that the MACD was trying to start to break out above the zero line, but it got rejected off of it, came back down to the zero line, and then it finally pushed through the zero line and had a nice rally. So I only expect this type of huge rally when we have officially broken the zero line, and that may happen, may or may not happen this year. We'll see. But until we have broken the zero line, I remain somewhat bearish. Now let's take a look at the daily chart and see what will happen in the next few days. So here on the daily chart, we have MACD divergence again on the RSI. And again, I'm going to repeat this. We are coming off overbought on the RSI. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. We have two highs, the second one being higher than the previous one. And on the RSI, we have two highs, the second one being lower than the first one. And that is not very good news for natural gas, especially when you have these two RSI highs being at overbought levels. It means that natural gas has gone too far up too quickly and is due for a potential correction. And that is obviously accompanied with what I mentioned in the beginning, and that is the MACD crossover. And you can see this is a perfect when a commodity is trading up and down like this. This is a very accurate technical indicator. You take the crossover here at the peak, and you can almost capture the entire move down. And same thing for up. You take the cross here, you buy when it crosses over, and you got the entire move up. And right now we just crossed again back down. So will it be the same thing? I guess we'll have to find out, but it definitely is something to consider when looking at where it may go. A MACD crossover, bearish crossover here at pretty high levels as well is not very good news for natural gas, at least in my trading experience. Now the third factor that I want to address on natural gas is the backtest of the $2.7 level. Now this is again, very simple technical analysis, but trading 101, if you are at resistance, you have a better chance of making money if you short sell. And if you are at support, let's say you were here at $2.5, you would have a better chance to buy the stock. And that is just a question of probability. Stocks and commodities tend to be rejected off resistance and bounce off support. So obviously here we are testing this resistance from below, and the chances are that it will get rejected and will come back down to the support level. Now obviously that is not something that I expected here when I made the video before we undercut the $2.7 level, but now that we are testing it from below and that I see a lot of other factors pointing to a potential, to more downside potential in natural gas, I do see this as a very important factor to take in. Now obviously it does seem like we are starting to break this $2.7 level, so if I post this video and we've broken past the $2.7 level, well, it's pretty much worthless. I wouldn't short sell above resistance, obviously. So if we start breaking above, not a good idea to short sell. If we do start turning back down though, then I would definitely consider short selling down to one of my two targets that I aligned right here. And the last thing that I want to address, and that's something that I doubt many people have observed on natural gas, and that is this island top reversal pattern. This is not a very frequent pattern, but when you do get it and when it plays out, it can be very powerful, and it's also a very high probability pattern. So it's basically when you have a rally up, you get a gap up, and then you have a series of candles after this gap up, and then you have a gap down and a follow through from the gap down, with a few red candles, and that is exactly what we've gotten so far. So if we backtest, come down, if this green candle closes below the beginning of this red candle, if this green candle closes below this gap, then the island top reversal can still play out and will most likely play out down to this $2.5 level. So again, this $2.5 level, if this candle doesn't break the $2.7, is definitely my minimum target in the short run. And the next target would be 2.3. So these are my two targets. Most likely we'll see what happens at 2.5, but I'm gonna put 2.3 just in case the selling starts getting more and more impulsive, which is definitely something that can happen with natural gas. You can see that when it falls very hard, very quickly. In a few days, you can definitely make some nice gains. So I prefer to stay in the trade while I'm already invested to the short side and make a more ambitious second target and raise my stops along the way. Obviously, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up on Google. Raising your stops along the way is definitely a very nice way to make profits and stay on the profitable side of your trade and try to maximize your profits for the trade. So that's about all I wanted to cover on natural gas. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. In the meantime, good luck on your trading and see you next time.